Epigrama de un pasado perdido is the debut full-length album from KEXELÜR, a Santiago, Chile-based black metal band. And are they even a black metal band? That's a good conversation to have. There are so many broadly set influences fused into this work that the band's sound is a lot to really take in to just describe as black metal. I think that aesthetically and rhythmically, dissonant post-black metal is probably the right label, although there are strong influences from psychedelic rock in all of their work, and there are kind of progressive movements that help them gel all of these ideas together. This record is a little bit different than what you might have heard on their first demo and their improvised rehearsal that they released after that. The first demo was much more focused on droning, what I would consider dissonant black metal and post-black metal ideas, which had a psychedelic verve to them. When I say psychedelic verve, I mean that they wander off in the same way that a band like Yellow Eyes might, without being quite as much of an atmospheric black metal band. Here, the idea was leaning more towards something like Portal. There's a little bit more in their work, which has obviously been improvised, and the scrawling, intense guitar techniques defined them quickly on that first demo. I wouldn't recommend that you go and pay too much serious attention to their improvised rehearsal demo. It is a good release if you like improvised performances and can forgive a little bit of fumbling around in a rehearsal setting. But otherwise, the real precedent set was their first official demo, and the amount of improvisation that was apparent on that. So I was interested to see how that would translate to this record, and what we'll do, we'll cut to a clip here, and you'll get a sense for what that sounds like. To be clear, calling this band a psychedelic black metal band is for the sake of their suggested Dionysian obfuscation and psychedelic-induced trance. That means that's kind of an official statement that this is psychedelic music. By definition, it was created under the influence of some sort of mind-altering substance for the sake of celebrating that. For me, that's an important distinction to make in terms of their improvised side, but also this record is not necessarily built in the same way that you would expect based on past demos. What we hear in any clip you can pick out of this is some fine guitar work, some sweeping, actually post-hardcore influenced stuff. They've moved away from sort of the tweaked out jazz fusion side of things and leaned into something a little bit more easy flowing, something more related to post-black metal, as well as some moments that veer into psychedelic rock territory. The length of each song adds quite a lot of immersive value to the full listen, and I found myself returning to this because even if I wanted to go back to any one point in any song, they are so linear and directive in their thought and searching in such a broad manner that there's kind of a pleasure of returning to the entire experience rather than just one riff or one strong section. There was a lot of replay value in this record for the sake of all that it does and all that it fits into each of these very well contained songs. And I think that their improvisational nature keeps it repeatedly interesting, but it's the melange of subgenre that makes this an eclectic and interesting band in the future. I feel like they moved away from some of their darker territory on this record, and I was hoping it would be a little bit more clangorous and ruthless, but instead I got a very interesting dark post-black metal record that is probably shouldn't be defined as such. It's their own thing, and I think it's unique enough to where it will be interesting to people who are interested in exploring the tonality of black metal and dissonant black metal in particular. So check that out, give it a whirl as an experimental kind of black metal idea, and then see if that fits into your taste. How far are you willing to explore with psychedelic or improvised music might limit your interest, but for me, it was a really good fit. I thought this is a great record and well worth repeating and returning to for the fresh air that it brings into this form. So very high recommendation for me. I think this is an essential, interesting record for this month, and go ahead and read my review for more of my thoughts.